Hey everyone. We are just double checking everything is set up, good to go. Make sure you guys hit that like, and you can see I have Kasia with me. We'll give her a formal introduction here in a minute. And yeah, you guys are saying she's spicy. Hey, Mr. Turpin, Kimberly, Marty, Kelly, a lot of you guys here. Occult Priestess, thanks for coming. It sounds like it's your first time here and you're supporting Kasia. Good to see the support for her.
Thank you. Hello.
And don't be unfairica, whatever you do.
I've been dying at the chat already. All the names for Erica. I love everything. Don't be unfairica. Scarica. I'm taking notes, seriously.
It's important.
Yeah.
So if you guys can on the way in, make sure you hit that like. And also if you can take a second and do the poll. Was Charlie involved somehow, whether directly or indirectly? If you can take that poll, we'll share that here after a bit. Do you want to tell people what country you're in?
Yes, I'm in Cyprus. It's currently 2 a.m. He's torturing me.
Well, she
but
said
I'm
what
Polish.
Time? She said what time? And I said like between 5 and 7. And that basically was between like 1 and 3 her time. So there was not a good time really technically for her. So make sure you guys show her a lot of love because this is late. This is late for her.
Or very early.
Or very early, however you look at it. Yeah. Different day. Dang girl, a true trooper. Now, as people are coming in, do you want to explain the chocolate theory while we're waiting for people to pile in?
Okay. Whoever doesn't know about chocolate theory, and maybe we will spot some today, it's kind of like a Freudian slip, but better. One time I came home from work and I saw my son with chocolate on his face. So I asked him, "Was that on your face?" And he said, "I didn't eat Nutella." So that's how chocolate theory was born. And from then on, we're trying to spot chocolate theory in life. And in this case, in Charlie Kirk's investigation. Many times we spotted it with Erica. Example, when Candice talked about Fort Huachuca for the very first time, and then Erica ran to the plane, flew to Candice, and provided alibi for Brian Cooper for her. Candice didn't ask for the alibi. Erica provided one anyway, and it was wrong for the wrong times, so it didn't cover him. So Candice was like, "Yeah, thanks, but no thanks." So yeah, chocolate theory is everywhere. And maybe today in the conversation, you guys can spot it, or we'll see.
So how do you call it out? Is there a specific way you're supposed to call it out?
Yeah, you just say this person has chocolate all over their face. And sometimes people answer, "That's not chocolate."
Looks like a lot of people are also Polish.
Oh, okay. Cześć wszystkim.
Uh-oh. Secret code. And for those that are coming in, make sure you hit the like and make sure you follow her. She is at Daily Fredo down there in the marquee. I know she's on X and YouTube. Are you on any other social media as well? Like, are you on Instagram or X or not X?
I'm on Instagram and X at Daily Fredo. I'm not on TikTok. My account was removed from TikTok because of Brigitte Macron.
All right. We will go ahead and get started. All right, so I'm gonna do my intro and then we will get into it. I figured we could probably, do you think we should watch your video to start this after I do this intro, or do you think we should just start talking about the content of the video? It's up to you. I'll let you decide. The reason for tonight's show is twofold. One, Kasia did a video that got a lot of attention yesterday, as well as some backlash. And two, many of you have been messaging me suggesting that maybe Charlie Kirk wasn't such an upstanding citizen. And Mr. Let Go and Danks also covered the topic. Tonight's conversation lives firmly in the land of questions, not verdicts. What if the story we've all been told about Charlie Kirk is incomplete? Not evil mastermind versus pure victim, not smoking gun versus nothing to see here, but something far messier. Tonight, we're exploring possibilities, the uncomfortable middle ground, which is where I like to live. The idea that corruption doesn't always wear a villain cape. Sometimes it wears a suit, a microphone, and a nonprofit structure. We're asking questions like, could there have been financial irregularities or exploitation inside of large political organizations tied to TPUSA? Could faith, loyalty, or ideology have been leveraged in ways that crossed ethical or even legal lines? And then here's the hard one. Was Charlie Kirk aware, complacent, or potentially handled by people operating behind the scenes? Because there are scenarios where a public figure doesn't know that they're being used. Many people don't know about handlers until after the fact. And there are scenarios where they do know and they decide to look the other way. So tonight isn't about declaring guilt. It's about mapping power, incentives, plausible deniability, and who benefits when questions go unasked. So if you're here for blind loyalty or condemnation, this is probably not the stream for you. Everything discussed is alleged and is only meant to be a thought experiment. And this is just quick announcements. Make sure you check out the new channel merch. Let me see if I can pull this up here really quick. I have allegedly, and yes, a lot of people have allegedly gear, but mine is obviously different and unique. So I have allegedly, we noticed, conspiracy light trademark. I have hats, shirts, everything across the board. So if you have any interest in those, that's down in the description. And then also, go back over here. Thanks to channel members, very much appreciated. And of course, to the moderators, make sure you guys show them some love. And we definitely appreciate them being here. And of course, hit that like and push this out on YouTube. So let's get back to Kasia. Did you want to do a formal introduction for those that might not know you?
Okay, I'm just someone who was born in Poland, and then at some point in my life, I moved to Cyprus with my whole family. That's where I live. And one day, I decided that I have a lot of opinions and not many people to share those opinions with. They weren't interested in the same things as me. For example, making fun of blue-haired people. So I decided to make my own channel, and it's a 2-person show. It's me and my husband, and that's what we've been doing for the past couple of years. And then, you know, I'm a Candace Owens girl as well. I follow her investigations, so I got on board with Brigitte Macron series, and I was doing my own research as well on the matter. And that's how it goes until today. Now we're on Charlie Kirk's topic. I'm currently obsessed with it. That's what I research. That's what I read about. That's what I talk to you guys about. That's what you will find on my channel. Plus a little bit of making fun of things. That's all.
This is our channel here, Daily Fredo with Kasia. It's at Daily Fredo. Fredo. I'm not sure how you say that.
Fredo.
I did Spanish for a while, so I can do it. That was Greek. Pretty good, actually. That was really good. You said Greek?
Yes.
How do you say
Fredo? Okay, because a lot of people ask about it. Fredo actually is an iced coffee. It's very popular in Cyprus. It's like a thing in Cyprus. Everyone is drinking Fredo. So when you say, I'm going for coffee, you will most likely drink Fredo or Frappé. So, yeah, so it's like a coffee break with me to gossip a little bit about the stuff that are interesting.
Awesome. Now, what I'll do is we're actually going to start. We're going to start with a few small pieces of Mr. Let Go's videos from yesterday. And it kind of sets the tone for everything. And I think, you know, people have a lot of very differing opinions. But I think overall, what he's saying, as far as like the mentality, is pretty spot on. So let me get this added here. All right. So we'll start with this. Hopefully it's on the right timestamp.
Well, he came out with a video. I ran across his video and I invited him on. And I was just like, yo, what is up with Charlie Kirk? Nobody wants to say anything about Charlie Kirk. It's always Erica Kirk is this, Erica Kirk is that. Turning Point USA is this, Turning Point USA is that. But he's the CEO of Turning Point USA. Why is nobody talking about Charlie Kirk? And
I
then,
think it's,
go ahead.
you got to think about it like this, right? You can't just stay one-sided.
Right.
The whole entire company was built underneath him, right? So
Yes.
whether he knew about the entire thing, maybe not, but you can't claim ignorance to all of the stuff happening. Because I'll tell you what, I was really surprised and disappointed when Charlie Kirk was the one. I hate to go in this direction and start to, but Charlie Kirk was like,
No, that's just an example right there. Even as he's trying to get it out to say that people should be considering the possibility that Charlie was involved somehow, he's even kind of like tripping over his words. He doesn't really want to say it because it's not popular, right? And I think that that's okay. People can ask these questions. I think where it becomes problematic is if you have absolutely nothing that would indicate that type of situation and you push that. But I think that, as we'll see with certain things, there are some very mysterious things, behaviors, past people that he spent a lot of time with and that brought him up and things like that, that could indicate that he might have known about some of this stuff going on. All right.
Yeah,
So
I also think that you don't have to necessarily go too deep with that theory, because if you're a CEO of the company and you're a co-founder, you will probably know what's happening in this company. You probably know who is working for you. You probably know, you look into books sometimes, to some degree, to some extent, you will know what's happening. And believing blindly, I think that he had no idea that there were just these evil people around him and everyone was scamming him and everyone was stabbing him in the back. And he was just, going to church and, doing speeches and sliding through it all, like without knowing anything. I don't know. It's also a little bit naive to me. But I want to differentiate between saying that Charlie was a bad guy. No, he wasn't. I don't believe he was a bad guy. I think maybe he made some questionable decisions with his business. Maybe it would benefit him and his family. I don't know. I truly don't know. I don't have answers to these questions, but I just want to make it clear. We're not here to slag Charlie. We're not here to speak ill of dead, obviously. I still think he was, in essence, a good guy, but I also have now, after all these revelations that we had about TPUSA and what they stand for and who works there and what they did, it's very hard for me to sit here and be like, oh, he had no idea. No idea.
well, and to this question here, wasn't he on the road 300 days a year? How the heck would he really know? You have to remember that he was there at the beginning with Montgomery. So he was he was basically every position, right? Like he did everything. He was everywhere. He knew about everything.
From the ground up, yeah.
Yeah, they raised a bunch of money together. So he was there when it formed its roots and along the way. The traveling all the time and doing all that kind of stuff, that's a more recent thing, right? He wasn't doing that the whole time. But the other part too is he hired some of the, I'm assuming, I don't know factually, but most CEOs hire the people underneath them. Now I know there's a board of directors, but that means he was okay with or hired the people under him. And as we've seen, a lot of those people have some very interesting and very bad allegations against them. So
yeah, unless it was like, if I can imagine, maybe it was like that someone would come in and be like, let's say it was Andrew Colvett. Yeah, we have this guy and he's perfect for this and that position. Okay, what do you know about him? This and that. And they would just tell him what the good stuff, not the bad stuff. So then he would be, okay, I trust you. Get that guy. This is the only scenario that I can imagine that you would sneak someone in that is not really, really good. But I don't know. I've worked in many companies, in many corporate settings. Doesn't work like that. CEO usually, especially like managerial positions, lead positions, CEO will have a say and they will interview them and they will, and they will interview them themselves. I don't know.
I know with me, almost every position, because I'm a software engineer, so almost every major position I've gotten in my life, the final interview was with the CEO. So I always had to bypass that person, and they had to put the stamp of approval on me.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean they work that way, but that's a lot of times that's how it works.
To be fair, CEO wouldn't be the person that does like a background check on you, right?
Yeah, let's see. I was making sure there's nothing else about that. Okay. And then this next one is another obvious thing that's pretty important in this conversation.
All of this is Charlie Kirk's doing, not Erica Kirk's doing. Erica Kirk has recently been CEO of Turning Point USA. Now, Erica Kirk has a huge hand in this because of Laurie Fronsby, her mother, but everything is just...
Before we get into the point of this part, make sure you guys go and follow Danks and Mr. Let Go. Show him some love. Make sure you go watch this whole video. And he has some very interesting takes, Mr. Let Go does, and Danks has been adding a lot of information on top of Wolves and Finance for the financials that are happening inside of TPUSA. So make sure you show them some love.
All about Erica Kirk and everybody surrounded by Charlie Kirk, but not the common denominator, which is Charlie Kirk. So it's like, at the end of the day, I can understand why nobody wants to say anything about Charlie Kirk. Do you know about? Do you want to talk about the elephant in the room?
Go ahead. What do you?
What do you think the elephant in the room is on why nobody wants to say anything bad about Charlie Kirk?
Well, I mean,
just say it.
I mean, it goes against. It makes him look bad. You know what I mean? It makes him look like.
But what's the elephant? What's the elephant in the room?
I mean, you tell me. I don't know if
Candace. Candace, you know, I love Candace. You know, I'm on Candace's side. You know, everybody in the chat right now say we stand for Candace. Everybody in the chat say we stand for Candace. I stand for Candace. I love what Candace is doing.
So explain more.
Charlie Kirk is Candace's best friend.
Mm-hmm.
So when Candace got online and started saying, I need to find out what happened to my best friend. My best friend this, my best friend that. Me and Charlie Kirk this. Picture of, video of her and Charlie Kirk dancing. Her and Charlie Kirk being in the car singing. Her and Charlie Kirk going fishing. Her and Charlie Kirk doing here and being there, right? How dare anybody open their mouths and say anything bad about Candace's best friend? So it's almost like
So that gets the point across. So I think that's another reason why a lot of people aren't talking about it in certain ways. They don't want to become a target for insinuating that something may have been wrong with Charlie or that he may be involved in something. Now, again, the stream is to talk about the fact that so many people are talking about it, right? So it's important to realize I never thought Charlie was a bad person. I think he was a good person. I think he believed in what he was doing. And I think he had a lot of people behind him that steered him in possibly a bad direction. So did you have anything you wanted to say about that? I know you said you got some comments and things that people did on your video that we're going to watch here in a minute.
Yeah, I was called a lefty. I was called a Biden supporter after this video. Guys, I'm not in America. I'm not in the thick of it. I don't care about Biden or whoever. I didn't even know people still talked about Biden. The only reason I brought him up, it was because it was old articles and it was about the Arctic frost. All that I was talking about, obviously. Like I said, I think he wasn't a bad guy. But on the other hand, what I'm having a difficult time with is that he was very smart. Yeah, we saw him debating. He was educated. He was smart. He had experience in it. So it's very hard for me to imagine that he was fooled like that. But then Candace Owens comes in with her investigation and she claims that he was groomed from the very young age and all these people that appear around him from the very young age. So like the Bill Montgomery, right? So he was apparently a friend of a woman who owned the school where Charlie went, the X-Men school that Candace brought up. So then he meets Charlie when he's 18 and he goes, oh, I don't know you, but, you're great. Your speech was amazing. Let's do business together.
Probably a coincidence, I'm guessing.
It's very big. Everything is coincidence, in his life. So that's why this whole theory that he lives like in a Truman Show, It's a lot. It's so convoluted. So it's very hard to make up your final mind. And that's what I want to say as well. In my video, guys, I'm not dying on any hills. Okay. I'm not married to anything. I'm exploring. So what happened, I saw the video of Charlie saying that if Trump wasn't elected, he would go to federal prison. Okay. And that was ringing in my ears for a week.
Mhm.
I couldn't get over it. I'm like, why did he say that? Why did he say that? Of course, I knew about the FBI investigation by Biden. I knew what was happening at that time during elections. But I'm like, why did he say that? Because would they throw him in prison without having anything on him? And I know it's like a sensitive question to everybody. They're like, yeah, they were after conservatives and they would throw anybody in jail for anything. They would just make up a reason. But I don't know. I felt like there was something more to it, and that's why I wanted to explore the subject.
So I think we should let's just do this in the chat really quick. If you have already seen her video, put a 1 in the chat. If you have not seen her video yet, please put a 2. I'm just trying to get a feel for how many people have actually seen her video from yesterday.
Don't worry, I won't be offended.
Well, you're already over 100,000. I wouldn't be offended anyway. It was a very successful video. It looks like mostly, well, it's about half and half.
50-50.
So maybe we should go through it.
Let's watch me react to me reacting to stuff.
It's Inception. It's me watching you react to yourself reacting to what you're doing in the video.
There you go. Can't get any better.
I'll cover this post here really quick. And this is one of the type of things that people are saying that are sketchy and why they think that Charlie might be implicated in certain ways. So this Aaron Reed basically saying that the pastors were hosting. A lot of people know about this. I've reported on this on my channel. And it's basically saying that Charlie's defending the pastor. So let's look at that post. So this is Charlie. I assume it's Charlie at the time, right? When he was alive. But he says, what a joke. Let's set the record straight. First, I've never met this person. He was one of many exhibitors at our event. He's not a corporate sponsor, but rather a small business trying to market his company. Now, the background is that this guy was like a known, he had crimes that he did against people, against humans and young people. I'm told from the team that coordinates exhibitors that he's a nice person. He's a nice person who did something wrong over a decade ago. Okay, so it's in the past. And unlike Target, he has repented and the experience led him to his faith. Good for him. That's the gospel. So that is good, right? So he got led back to the, I guess maybe back, or he was there. I don't know what the situation was, but basically he's turned his life around is what it sounds like. And now he's spreading the gospel. Okay. Lastly, he doesn't hide what happened. He tells his story on his own website, and the jerks at Rolling Stone took the public testimony and called it exclusive, and they smeared him, right? Rolling Stone should be ashamed. Trash outlet and publishes trash hit pieces about an event they didn't witness and know anything about. Now, people will say it is true that it's good that this person turned their life around, theoretically, right? We don't know because we still hear tons of allegations about all the different pastors and people related to these churches. Now, this person was at this event who was a known person to do this stuff, and they welcomed him in, and they're kind of protecting him, right? Just like they are with other pastors like Calvary churches and those that are associated with TPUSA of Faith. And there's some stuff that is proven people have done jail time for, and there's other stuff that's just only allegations. But when you have 20 plus allegations against one person, you know, you got to start looking into it pretty deeply.
So it's coincidence.
So it's kind of like the company. Yeah. Well, it's like the company you keep. You take something like this and he's defending this person. Some people might take this more as he's just not necessarily defending the person so much as he's attacking Rolling Stone. Right.
I mean, it's like when someone goes to jail, for example, for a crime of passion. Yeah. Someone unalived someone because it was an emotional state or was driving drunk, which is very bad, by the way. I'm not saying it's like nothing. But someone was exactly. Don't drink and drive. But someone was driving drunk and unfortunately hit someone with the car, unalived him, and went to jail for it. That's very different than when it's a serial unaliver. Okay. So the same situation here. It's not a guy who, was somewhere on a website, on a forum, and accidentally got caught in a conversation with someone about CP or pizza or whatever. It's a guy that has 20 plus exactly allegations on him, who was convicted of some things. So that's very different. That's not a person that will suddenly be like, okay, I will never do it again. That's obviously a pattern there.
Yeah, and it's not a pattern with just like a person or just one church. It's a pattern across many churches and many organizations, and a lot of them are associated with each other, and a lot of them have pasts that are starting to be dug up that are very sketchy. So, yeah, that's one big thing that people say is the people you keep. What do they say? You're the sum of the 5 people closest to you, or something similar. So he had like hundreds of people around him that were that way. So it just doesn't look good, right? Like people say, it's not a good look.
Nope.
All right, so let's go ahead and pull up your video. So since half of you have not seen this, we're actually going to watch it. And Kasia, if there's anything along the way that you want to pause at, let me know. But I think it does a pretty good job of explaining, you know, everything you're talking about in here. I think is done very well. And then we can talk about it afterwards and do questions and that kind of stuff.
Charlie Kirk said it himself. If Trump didn't win the election, Charlie was at risk of going to federal prison. That's why he cried on election day. Those were tears of relief. Those were tears that screamed, yes, I'm not going to jail. But why was he so relieved? Why was he so sure he would end up in prison if he didn't have Trump in the office, protecting him, allegedly? Today's topic is something that has been bothering me ever since I first mentioned it on one of my recent videos when I break down the Wolf and Finance episode for you guys. And at the end of my video, I mentioned this clip.
Do you know why I cried on election night?
Because you thought it was a restoration of the Judeo-Christian values that are inherent to the Constitution.
Let me tell you why, because I think you might appreciate this as a historian. Joe Biden sent the entire federal government after Turning Point USA and me personally. They wanted me in federal prison.
Right.
We don't want that. And by the way, that's what despots do, not Donald Trump. Let me finish. And so when Donald Trump won, it was a sigh of relief that maybe I won't have to go to federal prison.
Sure.
Maybe I can actually be around my kids. And maybe we can live in a free society.
I kind of brushed past this video and this topic in general, but I decided to see if there was something more to it. And yes, there was. Boy, there was more to it. Let's watch that clip of Charlie after he found out Trump won the election.
Probably.
Brett, guys, they just called it. They just called it for Pennsylvania, Charlie. It has been called.
Just called.
Just reporting it. Let's go, baby.
Charlie, what is the number?
What
is the number?
Is that it? Happened. Remember where you were when you realized that the Uniparty and all of these, you know, just the establishment.
Now, I want to know from the audience, if you've seen this clip, clearly he's not talking. He's kind of, he's so emotional that he's kind of like, you know, he's frozen really. And he's starting to kind of tear up and he seems extremely, extremely caught up by this moment. So if you think this is joy, put a 1 in the chat. If you think this is relief, or maybe, you know, something related to Biden investigating him and him actually getting out of going to prison, then put a 2. So 1 if you think it's joy, and 2 if you think it's basically him being like, oh my gosh, I don't have to go to prison. A lot of 2s. A lot of 2s. Okay. All right, we'll keep going.
Just like everyone started dancing. Just in case we won Pennsylvania. I said I wouldn't even talk about it. Ladies and gentlemen, we've got tasty cakes.
He is tearing up. He's genuinely relieved. Erica comes in to hug him. He's crying. She's crying. We all thought at first that this was all because he worked so hard. He campaigned for Trump harder than anyone. And we thought he was just happy that all this work didn't go to waste. But now that we know, in his words, he was relieved he didn't have to go to federal prison, it looks very different. Because this reaction tells me that he genuinely thought he would be locked up, that he will not see his family. But why was he so sure that he would end up in prison? That was the question that was bothering me all this time. So I went back, years back, going through videos, going through articles. We are being bombarded with news every day, so we tend to forget some meaningful details from the past. I wonder if you all remember this. Newsweek Max wrote, Trump, Biden tried to put Charlie Kirk out of business. And the article says, President Donald Trump late Tuesday night accused former President Joe Biden's administration of having tried to force conservative leader Charlie Kirk and his organization, Turning Point USA, out of business through a wide-ranging election probe led by special counsel Jack Smith. His comments on Truth Social came after Senate Judiciary Committee Chair Chuck Grassley, Iowa, revealed earlier in the day that Kirk's organization had been one of the Republicans-linked groups targeted by Arctic Frost, the FBI's investigation that began with Smith's electors' charge against Trump. Why was the wonderful turning point under investigation by deranged Jack Smith and the corrupt and incompetent Biden administration? Trump posted on his Truth Social page. They tried to force Charlie and many other people and movements out of business. They weaponized the Justice Department against sleepy Joe Biden's political opponents, including me. Obviously, we are not siding with Joe Biden here. However, would this huge sigh of relief by Charlie when Trump was elected mean that he did have something to hide? That Turning Point USA did cross some lines that could land the founder and other people involved in federal prison.
Now, playing devil's advocate, there could also be another side to this, which maybe so obviously, if you don't know what Arctic Frost is, it was a operation by the Biden administration to basically investigate Republican committees and organizations and stuff like that, right? Like political parties. And who knows what they're looking for, maybe corruption or something else, or they're trying to shut them down. But clearly TPUSA would be a huge issue for them because they could help get Trump elected. So playing devil's advocate, would they being looked into because they might have gotten Trump elected and there's going to be competition there? Or do you think that there might have actually been something going on and there was fraud or something else? It was legitimate. You know, that's just one of the questions I had.
Have they been investigated? Take a look at this clip and what Josh Hawley had to say.
Why do you think Biden's FBI was really investigating Charlie Kirk?
Try to intimidate him. You know, it's interesting, Jesse, when I heard that today from Chairman Grassley, something came clear to me. Charlie had said to me a couple of years ago now, he'd taken me aside at one point and said, I think that we are being targeted, that TPUSA is being targeted. And he said, you know, can you help us? And I said, anything you need me to do. And he said, well, listen, I'm just finding out about this. This has got to be what he was talking about. And now we know that Joe Biden, once again, weaponized the FBI to go after his political opponents. It's nothing but terrorism. It's an attempt to silence and intimidate. I'm so glad that Charlie was not intimidated right up to the last day that he had on this earth. That is why he is such a sterling example. But you know what? What Joe Biden did in his administration, we can't ever allow to happen again. You look at the climate they created, Charlie. We're reaping the fruits of that now. The climate of hate and division and suspicion that they deliberately created for years to try to hold on to power. It's despicable, and it's time to turn the page on it.
Of course, this could be true. They could have wanted to intimidate Charlie. His movement was growing big, but he would have probably just laughed it off if there was nothing to it, right? I'm not accusing him of anything, seriously. But I said many times in my videos that we do need to look at all the details, every possibility. And one of the possibilities is that maybe he did make some decisions that were questionable at TPUSA. Doesn't make him a bad guy, doesn't justify his unaliving, God forbid, but we can't just operate blindly believing that this man was a saint and has never made a mistake in his life. We would be very dumb for doing that. So obviously, there weren't many conservative media outlets covering TPUSA and Charlie's story, so I dove into some liberal sources just to see what was being said. Here is an example of an article that did question the finances and whether TPUSA, non-profit organization, was legally able to campaign for Trump. By the way, I don't know how it was over in the US, but here where I am, in Cyprus, honestly, we just thought that they were a political organization. I just thought they were like part of Trump's campaign. They were campaigning so hard for him. I would never think they were non-profit. I found it out later, so, well. Anyway, the article says, at this Trump-favored charity, financial reporting is questionable and insiders are cashing in. Charlie Kirk's nonprofit Turning Point USA has made misleading financial claims and gets its independent audits from its co-founder Bill Montgomery's former business associate. It has enriched several of its top leaders as it pushes Trump's message. And the article goes on to say, at the Turning Point event in June, the president, addressing the crowd, said, let us also show our appreciation to my good friend Charlie. I'll tell you, Charlie is some piece of work who is mobilizing a new generation of pro-American student activists. On a Turning Point webpage soliciting donations, Trump Jr., a close friend of Kirk's, is quoted as saying, I'm convinced that the work by Turning Point USA and Charlie Kirk will win back the future of America. But behind the scenes, Turning Point USA has entered into questionable financial arrangements, particularly involving Kirk's mentor, William Montgomery, the lesser-known co-founder who is credited with discovering Kirk. Montgomery, 80, an Illinois entrepreneur and one-time Tea Party activist, is one of 3 Turning Point insiders who have won lucrative deals from the group to handle its printing, payroll processing, and fundraising. The nonprofit has also made misleading assertions about its finances to state and federal regulators, according to interviews and an examination of tax and business records. I'm going to summarize for you what Candace Owens discovered. She said that Bill Montgomery and his wife were good friends with the founder of the School for Gifted Kids, where they sent Charlie. Bill claimed to not know Charlie when he first met him, when Charlie was 18 years old. But this discovery was just too weird. And soon after they met, TPUSA was established, and Montgomery was the person who took care of their IRS reports. Of course, I'm summarizing it. There are many details. Basically, what she insinuates is that Charlie was groomed since he was at school by the people that he met for the first time later in life. And I am going to add my own thoughts to it. As long as he was compliant, he was useful. But unfortunately, he maybe started to suspect things, and people around him weren't who they claimed to be. Anyway, I'm just thinking out loud. Here's a bit of Candace's thoughts.
I want you to hold on to that phrase, I don't know you, but. Again, that's the same story that I was told. So I was a bit surprised to learn that there may be a larger story here. Now, Bill Montgomery was Air Force. He's in the Air Force Reserves. Bill Montgomery also happened to be from Lincoln, Nebraska. Getting into that, one of those Egyptian plane stops. A lot of these people are tied to Lincoln, Nebraska that are in this story. Saving that for.
I just wanted to, so humble beginnings. Thanks for the super chat. I live here and I was under the impression that TPUSA was a political group. I know that when I first started looking into all this stuff, because I didn't really follow Charlie before this, I saw him in a couple of episodes, I think with, what's his name? Is it Marin or Marlon or something, like the podcaster guy that Candace was on? Myron, there we go.
Myron.
Yeah, like he was on there a couple of times or something and was like talking to some girls that were like in OnlyFans or something similar. But yeah, I thought they were, when I first heard about TPUSA, my thought is that they were just a political group as well. And they technically are based on their website. But the way they're set up, I guess they're not supposed to be legally picking a certain candidate or pushing a certain specific party. And they're not supposed to be campaigning. So I don't know if there's exact proof that they were, but those are the allegations that are causing a lot of these issues from like Danks and Woes in Finance. But TPUSA Faith, I didn't even know about. So when I learned that they had both, I found that very interesting. And I did a video about separation of church and state after I saw that, because they're both big organizations. They touch tons of different churches. I know people that watch, for example, like I believe Pastor Heggie has a Calvary Baptist church or one of those Calvary Chapel church or something similar. And he was also listed in, he has some connections and stuff like to the Epstein files, not like in a way that like he did something, but he's mentioned in it in an email. But a lot of those people kind of are in the same circles. And I didn't realize it was as big as it was. So I was kind of blown away too.
Yeah, I think they were, TPUSA was like a umbrella company. It's not an umbrella, but it was, the TPUSA name was used as an umbrella to cover all these activities that they were doing. So, but there were little small details in between that would split into, for example, TPUSA Action. I think it was Wolf and Finance that said that TPUSA Action was able to do 50% of political activity. Therefore, they were pinning everything under action. But I don't know if they were doing it only when it was visible and if they were doing the same thing in the books, or they were doing something to avoid taxes. This is the main question here, like the taxes, something is wrong there. They also have another one now, TPUSA Rise. It's another like Christian, something for families and faith. Yes.
I think there's TPUSA Realty possibly coming too. That's what we're hearing. And we may have TPUSA President Erica Kirk too, according to Frank Turek and some of those people.
Yes. Erica for president, guys. President Erica.
President Erica.
I don't know.
That's an inside joke with people on her channel.
Yes, we just like to come up with names for Erica, depending on the situation.
So make sure you guys hit that like, and mods, if there are people harassing people in the chat, feel free to time them out. If they keep getting timed out, feel free to kick them. All right, let's see. So really quick, this is, I believe, officially your first time going live on YouTube, correct?
I have never gone live on YouTube ever. Yes, it's my first time.
So make sure you guys show her some love in the chat. Put Kasia, put her name. It's Kasia. And make sure you go over and you subscribe to her channel. She does some great work. It's at Daily Fredo.
Yeah.
There we go. All right. Now, do we want to finish watching this video, or did you want to start talking about?
Yeah, it's an amazing video. Let's watch it.
It is.
Whatever you want, guys.
It's life-changing.
Another day. Now, not much is known about what specifically Bill Montgomery did during his time in the military, but we do know that he moved to the Chicago area thereafter, which obviously in the area where Charlie's X-Men school was. The X-Men school, I just like to call it that, was actually called Creative Children's Academy. It opened in 1982 for the academically gifted, from preschool up into the 8th grade. In 1999, it changed its name officially to Quest Academy. It tells us on its website, in a past article, that it receives corporate and private funding from who we don't know. I would like to know what corporations funded that academy. What we do know is that it's a stone's throw from Northrop Grumman, the massive aerospace and defense company that has extensive federal contracts dating back to World War II. Just put that fact in the back of your mind. It may mean nothing at all, but I just want to say that because it came up when I was researching the general area in Palatine, Illinois. Now, the Children's Creative Academy, I should tell you, was founded by a woman named Helene Bartz. Okay, her husband is a Reverend Robert Bartz of Arlington Heights. Helene Bartz. Now, a tip that I received and I was able to confirm is that Helene Bartz was actually good friends with Bill Montgomery and his wife, Edith Walker Montgomery. She actually goes by her last name, Edith Walker. The person claims that Edith Walker, who I've since learned emigrated from Germany after World War II, and I can't really find much else about her, became and this is correct, an adolescent psychiatric nurse. So she was a psychiatric nurse to the youth. And that she was actually the person that started the school with Helene Bartz. And that has since virtually been wiped from public record.
So Bill Montgomery was a huge conflict of interest for TPUSA. He was the co-founder with Charlie Kirk back in 2012. Fine, mentor, story, whatever. But then he also served as treasurer for years, straight up in charge of the books, the finances, the records. That's already a lot of power for one person in a nonprofit pulling in millions from donors. The really suspicious part, the 2020 ProPublica investigation found that the accounting firm TPUSA was using for their required independent audits, the ones charities need to fundraise in a bunch of states, had multiple business deals with Montgomery himself, like side contracts with his companies or whatever. Experts straight up said that it kills independence. How do you trust an independent audit when the auditor is doing business with the guy who was running the money? It makes the whole financial reporting look shaky, especially the IRS tax forms, right? When cash was pouring in like crazy. On top of that, Montgomery's businesses got paid by TPUSA for printing, payroll stuff, fundraising help, big checks going back to him while he was treasurer. They said it was all kosher under their conflict rules, but come on, it smells like insider enrichment. So yeah, co-founder, money guy, tied to the auditors, getting paid by the organization. That's not random. It raises legit questions about whether everything was as transparent as they claimed. Just something to keep in mind when we talk about TPUSA's early days and all the money flowing through it. And the shady business was discussed by Zach from Wolf and Finance, who explained that TPUSA as non-profit shouldn't get involved in political campaigns and how it all looks shady once you put it under a microscope. Take a look.
How does Turning Point get involved in so much political activity? The only companies that are allowed to do political activity are up to 50% of Turning Point Action and Turning Point PAC. What happens in the real world is that a lot of 501c3s will perform what they call get out the vote efforts, or voter education. This is defined in Treasury Regulation 1.527-6B5. Get out the vote campaigns must not be specifically identified by the organization with any candidate or political party. As long as these are nonpartisan activities, they are considered not political, and that is the loophole that is allowed for a 501c3. This would include things like signing people up for new voter registration. But you cannot be pushing for Republican or Democrat. It has to be completely nonpartisan. Here's the problem. Turning Point USA is a 501c3. They are supposed to be non-political. But then we see Erica Kirk endorsing J.D. Vance for president.
We're going to ensure that President Trump has Congress for all 4 years. We are going to get my husband's friend, J.D. Vance, elected for 48 and the most resounding way possible.
This is at America Fest, Turning Point USA's largest event, with the CEO in a flashy pantsuit giving a speech endorsing a political candidate. This is strictly forbidden under the law for a 501c3. You cannot endorse political candidates. That is political activity. In my opinion, what Erica Kirk just did was illegal. This is effectively using their tax-exempt donations to create a campaign commercial for J.D. Vance. And before you say, well, maybe it was paid for by one of the other companies that allow political activity. No, no, no. It says Turning Point USA behind her head during the speech. The tickets for the event were sent out from Turning Point USA. The fact page for the event is hosted at tpusa.com. And at the bottom of the webpage, it explicitly says, Turning Point USA is a 501c3. It looks to me like the executives at Turning Point are playing pretty fast and loose with the laws concerning 501c3s.
I really can't stress enough that I am not a financial specialist. I have no idea about those things. I just research and read a lot and try to make sense of it as I go with you guys here. But imagine, all those questions were already floating around in 2020. Then the closer it got to elections and the more political activity we were witnessing from Charlie and TPUSA, the more questions about the legal aspect of it were raised. Let me put it on a timeline for you. So this is a timeline. April 2022, FBI opens Arctic Frost investigation into 2020 election fake electoral scheme under Biden-Dodge. November 2022, probe transfers to special counsel Jack Smith, Biden appointed. 2022 to 2024 Biden term. TPUSA included in broader scope. FBI places 92 Republican-linked groups, individuals, including TPUSA, under scrutiny, with subpoenas for records tied to election challenges, fraud claims. September 2025, post-Biden, Senator Chuck Grassley reveals whistleblower documents showing TPUSA targeted. Major coverage follows, Fox, etc., with Trump's criticizing it as partisan. Yes, so in September, Senator Chuck Grassley, after the 9/10, released the documents and Republicans were mega outraged. How dare Biden target TPUSA with his investigation? Charlie was a saint. Charlie was killed by the left. And now we find out the left put a target on him and his business. How dare they? Fox article said, and this is from 16th of September, 2025. FBI's Trump probe Arctic Frost also investigated Charlie Kirk's TPUSA, Grassley reveals. Kirk was assassinated last week while speaking during an event at Utah Valley University. He was a prolific conservative activist, and his massive organization remains a part of his legacy. Turning Point USA recruited conservative college students and was heavily involved in promoting election turnout. In the aftermath of the 2020 election, Kirk amplified some of Trump's claims about election fraud. Utah Governor Spencer Cox and Department of Justice leaders have said the suspect in Kirk's shooting, Tyler Robinson, was driven by leftist ideology, but that the investigation remains in an early stage. Authorities said anti-fascist messaging found on bullet casings, Discord messages and other messages have helped to develop an understanding of Robinson's motive as the investigation continues. The articles from September were still about left bad, right good, something that has collapsed ever since. Okay, so what I'm getting at here, for the sake of the argument, we will assume that TPUSA did shady political and financial things and was at risk of being exposed. I'm not stating it as a fact, okay? But let's assume this was the case. There are two different scenarios here. Either Charlie knew about it, at least to some extent, or he was completely left in the dark about it. and other forces like Tyler Boyer, who appears a lot in Wolf and Finance investigation, was moving money around behind Charlie's back. The second scenario, Charlie could have suddenly realized that there were in fact some weird things happening with the money and wanted to investigate it further, hence the Dodge effort memo. He wanted a new team assembled to go through those finances. That was on September 2nd. He sent the memo on September 2nd. But then it doesn't explain his genuine fear of going to prison in 2024. Now, if we take the first scenario where he was aware of the shenanigans, we all noticed that he was going through some changes in the months leading up to September 10th. He said no to donors, he refused to bend the knee, and he ordered this Dodge audit effort, whatever you want to call it. Could it be that people were afraid he was going to talk? Because if they did break the law, there must have been many people involved in it. Many people were at risk of going to jail. Did Charlie have a change of heart and wanted to come clean? These two scenarios keep playing in my head, and I'm hoping that talking about it in this video, maybe it will spark some new ideas and direction in this investigation. I don't claim to have all the answers, but maybe my small bit can lead to someone else's breakthrough. But as usual, I want to know what you guys think. Why?
So that is the video in its entirety. And feel free to go over to her channel and let it play over there too, so she gets some monetization and stuff over there too. It's doing very well already. And a lot of you are asking what her handle is on YouTube. It's this right here. It's at Daily Freddo, Freddo. So make sure you go follow her. She's also on X and Instagram, correct?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So let's do this really quick. Actually, can you repeat this whole repeat this whole thing in Polish for those in the audience that are Polish?
Yes. Więc dla wszystkich, którzy nie zrozumieli. No. I can do in Greek as well if you guys want. But I wanted to actually say something because my video mentions January 6th, and a lot happened around January 6th. And actually, I think big part of the investigation that was sparked towards TPUSA was because of January 6th. And then I found an article that said that Charlie Kirk sponsored buses or sponsored transport for the patriots that were coming to the protest. And I actually managed to find that tweet. I can send it to you later if you want. However, he deleted this tweet after when, the protest didn't go as well as they hoped and people actually got hurt and worse. Charlie Kirk deleted this tweet, and the tweet says, "This historic event will likely be one of the largest and most consequential in American history. The team at Trump Students and Turning Point Action," that's an important detail, "are honored to help make this happen. Sending 80 plus buses full of patriots to DC to fight for this president." Why it's important that it's Turning Point Action? Again, in the tweet, he's pointing at the entity that is allowed to do political activity. So I don't know why would he delete that tweet after. That's why, and this again, it made me think. I'm like, okay, so is it for appearances, the Turning Point Action? And do they actually do the business and financing through different entities to avoid taxes? And I'm not even like a tax guy. I am not a lawyer. I am nothing, okay? And I have this, I cannot believe that I ended up here and I'm studying like taxes of a company. It's absolutely not my thing. But it makes you definitely think. Again, I found out that his social media, his ex was run by Andrew Colvett, the gossip girl of the TPUSA. XOXO, Andrew. Yes, so did he delete it because he was worried something will come out of it? Again, question without an answer for now.
Well, I would like to go over to our poll here really quick. People are asking me what I was asking for here specifically. Let me go ahead and end this poll. All right. So the poll results are, drum roll, was Charlie involved somehow indirectly or directly? 44% say I hope not. 32 say yes, 24 say no. So the biggest majority is people who hope he doesn't, but they're open to it. So
I
that's
voted on that.
yeah. So I think that's kind of the common thinking for a lot of people at this point. And the next one, fill this one out as well, was Erica Kirk, his handler. A lot of people are curious, thinking that maybe she was put there to keep him in line and monitor him and that kind of stuff as well. All right, so while that's going, I want to pull up this other thing that I pulled up. This was basically Grok. I said, hey, if all this stuff is going on, and if Charlie was part of this, theoretically, what specific things would make people think that? Right? So what things are happening that are making people question if he was involved or if he knew about it? Came up with
Can
some
I tell you
interesting
something? I literally wrote the same question to Grok
Did you?
today. I swear to God. This is so funny. Yes.
So I'm the Daily Fredo of the United States. And again, these are just allegations and open questions, right? This is what Grok came up with. So obviously the financial stuff. We have, raising $400 million in recent years, allegations of misleading financial reporting, questionable audits, and $21 million that just kind of popped up with critics claiming it involved donor money being funneled into luxury and insider benefits. And we've heard about the way they have traveled, and we've seen their homes and things like that. Kirk reportedly received hundreds of thousands across TPUSA entities alongside affiliated operatives, raising questions of self-enrichment. So for a nonprofit, you wouldn't typically expect. I've seen cases where the CEO does really well, right? Like with Goodwill or whatever company it was years back, there was a CEO that was paying himself like $4 million a year for a nonprofit, something insane. But it's not typical to have, dozens of people across all the different board and everything else all be doing really well financially from a nonprofit. That seems a little strange. Potential money laundering, like stock enrichment groups and things like that. Election fraud. We know that Tyler Boyer was pardoned by Trump for election fraud, along with like 70 other people. FEC fines of $18,000 for donor disclosure violations. Arizona complaints of alleged dark money abuses, right? Like, so there's a lot of stuff that is built up. And if this stuff was alleged towards them, I would think the CEO would be aware of this and hopefully be making changes to correct it. You would think, right?
Do you remember at the beginning, they had a podcast and Andrew Colvett said that the first thing they asked Erica, how much do you know? And she said everything. And they're like, okay. And then she was announced the CEO. I had a short thought, and I'm not saying I'm sticking to that thought, but I'm like, what if they were like Bonnie and Clyde, And they just, because in normal investigation, you wouldn't just assume that the victim was this guy that never did anything wrong. You would look at all aspects and you would investigate all scenarios. So it was just a short thought that I had. Like, okay, what if they were in on it together? What if they were doing it together? And that's why the first phone call from Andrew Colvett was, Erica, how much do you know? I know everything. Okay, you're the new CEO. You're leading this. I'm just, again, don't quote me on this. Don't come after me and be like, oh my God, you're a traitor. I saw that in the chat. No, it's just a fun theory to think about.
Well, and some of the stuff happening in chat is bots as well. Right. So a lot of times if you're on a live stream and you see something like I was on a live stream with Kelly Raybon and it's like, oh my gosh, you're bald. Look how bald you are. You're the baldest bald man ever. Obviously it's a bot, right? So
that's bold of you to say.
You just block them and move on. So now Barron has mentioned this before as well. But he's done like a lot of these thought experiments and he's really good at that stuff too. But some of this stuff, it seems like, how could he not know? That's really the way it comes out to, is like, how could he not know? So, like this list is long. I'm not going to go over everything in here, but this list just keeps going and going and going. How could he not know about a lot of this or most of this? So you have links to human exploitation via funders. TPUSA was reportedly funded by a Wyoming tycoon with claims of trafficking, right? Traffic lights. We'll say traffic lights.
Traffic lights.
Of 80,000 tadpoles, right? And a lot of them have had incarceration. And there's also, I heard something interesting about Actually, I think we're going to get to it here in a second. Grooming influenced by powerful donors. Kirk was reportedly groomed by older men. That was Montgomery at 18 and allegedly exploding from 79,000 to 80 million annually through financing like big oil, gun, and private prison sectors. This is the first time I've seen this private prison stuff. So I need to dig deeper into that and see what's going on with that, if there's actually something there. But I found that very interesting.
Did you see the podcast with Milo Yiannopoulos when he was on Teamcast?
I did not.
So that went pretty viral, and he said that his career was ended by Charlie Kirk. That Charlie Kirk spread the rumor about him that he was sleeping with students on the campus, and he was engaging with and he was doing drugs with them or something like that. That was the rumor. And apparently it was Charlie. He said it was Charlie Kirk that spread this rumor to put him out of business and to take over as the college campus guy who speaks about politics and so on. That's what he said on the podcast. I can send you a link afterwards. And that was very interesting to me. And that was the first time, because I was kind of also in this state that he was this good guy and he believed in God, and how could they do this to him? And then this podcast happened. And that was the first time I thought maybe he wasn't as clean. Doesn't mean anything. It definitely doesn't mean that he deserved what happened to him, right? But that was the first time when I started thinking we need to start going different direction as well. We need to see other possibilities here. We cannot just blindly go with this one scenario that they want us to go. And now there is this competition that TPUSA created. Who's better Christian? Literally, I see it's so weird to me. I see people on X being like, you're not a real Christian because this and that. How can you? Isn't faith also like a personal thing? And now it's being like commercialized and marketed, and everything is being excused by faith. I was playing last time video of Erica. They had a little argument on stage. Not really argument, but like Charlie a little bit like snapped. They disagreed on something in one of the interviews. And her answer was just, God is good, God is good. It's fine, it's fine. So yeah, this is like a blabber of all my thoughts. There is a lot going on there. I could go on for ages.
So just really quick, I don't know what's going on, but my computer looks as though it's just been hacked, and it's happened before during these streams, depending on the subject matter. So everyone, if you're still there, I'm going to reboot my machine and I'll be right back. So Kasia, if you want to keep talking, I'll be right back in.
Yes, maybe I can read chat.
Some poetry.
Actually.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh,